Hello, 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 hello. Welcome back,
Bonjour,
friends.
bonjour, bonjour.
Welcome back, Dongu.
Oh, hi.
Hey,
God.
so we're recording the new episode for Shanghai Tripod, and we,
Yes,
we
sir.
missed a week. Why did we
Yeah.
miss a week?
Because Jacob was drunk for a week. We
Oh,
could not reach out to him.
is it because he's Inner Mongolian?
Yes, that's the reason.
Ah,
Hi,
Jacob,
I'm Jacob, the drunk Mongolian. I'm an
see.
alcoholic,
Oh, so
as the stereotyping goes.
yeah. So on that topic of stereotyping, what is today's topic?
Racism.
Oh,
Oh,
I didn't
interesting.
know that. All right, so
What a
today we're going to
coincidence.
talk about racism in China. And as always, I have Jacob from Inner Mongolia with me,
Yellow,
and I have
yellow.
Tofu, the local beauty of China.
E. E. Sorry.
Okay, local handsome of China. Say hello. I am like waiting for you.
I said hi already. You're
Okay.
doing this again.
No, I'm not doing it. I'm properly introducing you guys again.
Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry for this babuji stupidity.
Okay, and again, by stupidity, remember me, I am Babuji. And today we're going to talk about racism in China. And so before we get into the more detailed perspective, I think I want to start off saying that as a foreigner, I probably
Mhm.
would be uh, better positioned to share my personal experience.
Yes, tell us. How do
In
you feel as a foreigner in a foreign country?
it's lonely. So, I think I have like I was not forced to come to China, so I willingly came to China. So I had a certain expectation when I came to China, which was a mixture of stereotype and reality. So when I arrived in China, I believed that Chinese people are a certain kind, they behave in a certain pattern, and some of them are true, some of them are untrue. Of course, I believe that a lot of people would be doing kung fu. Literally, nobody does kung fu here. Uh, but I think one thing which stuck with me is that I personally, also as a foreigner, came with so many judgments, prejudged, biasness when I came to China. So I realized that the fact that as a foreigner, even though I'm a little bit open-minded and I've traveled around the world, I still had this biasness in my head when I was going to a new country. So to be fair, before we start discussing very seriously or criticizing anybody, I think there's a little bit of racism in all of us. It's
Right.
innate. We can't, unfortunately, we can't get rid of it because it's human nature to be judgmental. It's human nature to be biased. It's human nature to believe in certain stereotypes where you see a repeated pattern from a certain culture or a certain group of people. But it doesn't have to be like that. If we have the intention to change, we can change. So I want to start with this open statement for people who are listening to us, that we are not here to say that we are the best people and we are not racist at all and all that stuff. I think there's always a place for improvement, and we can constantly improve by learning things about others. So from that perspective, now I'm going to start criticizing every race.
Yeah,
Nice.
first we need to clarify that we are not racists.
Yes.
But we're gonna
Yet.
counter.
And yet.
Yeah, but yeah. So uh, my experience personally in Shanghai has been mixed. As in, I have experienced racism, but nothing of a harsh manner. Mostly mild manner racism, which can be attributed towards ignorance. But there have been cases where it has been, for lack of better words, amusing for me. So
Mm.
one of the experiences I can share is that I was one of these in my earlier job. I was traveling to work, and I was very curious about Shanghai as a city. So I used to take a lot of times this local subway, the metro,
Metro.
the underground of the city, and I tried to venture out outside the midtowns, outside the downtown areas to the suburbs and stuff like that, just out of pure curiosity. And since I did not speak the language, it was mostly me just looking around and observing people. So a lot of times people used to stare at me. And I'm not mean, I don't mean like stare, like look at me and then, for good 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just stare at me. In the beginning, it was very awkward for me because I don't know what to do. Like, when somebody's staring at you, you don't really know what to do. And it felt a little bit hurt. I don't know whether I was hurtful, but it feel like, you feel out of the place. Maybe I felt like, oh, I'm different than them, so, and then that stare made it very obvious that I'm different from them. Doesn't mean that they hurt me in any format. It was just my own personal way of looking at things. But what hurt me a few times was there used to be kids in the metro, the kids coming with their parents and sitting around next to me and all that stuff. So most of them kids were very, amazed by looking at a foreigner or looking at a foreigner who's not white. Let me put it in a better context. And they were always like, oh, why is he so brown, or why is he so black, or why is he so hey, like this is the word.
Yeah, they call you black people.
Yeah, black people. And for people who have not seen me, I'm probably not. It's very difficult for people to see a color difference if they've never seen a black person.
Because in our education, we don't know this
brown
people. We don't know this brown people concept. We were told yellow people, white people, and black people.
Yeah.
So there's no such word as brown people.
Right. So I think that is, it's funny when they do that, in kids. And I always used to take it very lightly, did not take it seriously. But what was very hurtful was when the parents used to tell, oh, don't sit next to him. And I did understand a little bit of Chinese, at an early stage. And then they used to like make the kids leave the sitting arrangement and go to the opposite side or stand. And that was the scariest part. I think a couple of times they just stood there. There was a place next to me and they just stood. They would rather not sit and suffer than sit next to me.
Probably not suffer so much.
I know why.
Standing.
I don't know why do they want to suffer so much.
And they deserve it.
No, I think I could not understand it. But having said that, because I've been to Western countries and faced racism of a lot more a serious nature, where it is almost like life-threatening, not life-threatening, but like, physically threatening or threatening where they're using. But I felt that for me, the experience was the same. I would not say, oh, that was less hurtful or this was less hurtful. But that's racism, and that's one of the examples of racism happened. This is a very common thing around 10 years ago. And this is not in a smaller city. Actually, surprisingly, my experience in smaller towns have been more positive compared to bigger cities.
Yeah.
Smaller town people are curious about you and they're very happy to see you. And then I think it's very natural to look at somebody who's different than you and then be happy or amazed or curious about them. And I appreciate that. And I would not kind of like look down on such people and I'll not be offended by such acts.
Yeah.
So I think this brings to me this this curiosity in my head that as Chinese, as both of you guys are born in China, right? What lessons of racism did you get as a kid? As kids, what did you learn from your parents, from the society? What did you guys learn about racism?
We don't really talk about racism as a concept. It's still, racism is still a very Western concept, and the education we get probably like in geography class is just telling us that there are like I said, black people, white people, yellow people in the world, and these are the races. And China is a country with different like ethnicity groups, 56. And the majority is Han, and there are 55 minority groups. and we are a big family. We love each other. We appreciate each other's culture. So we should be friendly to each other. That's the education we get on race. Not that, like, it's not a very international view on racism around the globe, right, Jacob?
Well, yeah, that's what we taught. But
Yeah.
from first, Babuji, let me help you with your daily transit problem. Next time when people stare at you and questioning, or like when little kids saying, "Oh, why is this person so colorful?" instead of it being a regular Uyghur plain, just tell them that you are from Yunnan or Tibet, because those motherfuckers are very dark skinned.
Yeah. So
no, I normally stick to that. Oh, haven't taken shower yet. Once I shower, get cleaned up.
No.
Or
I'm
stick to the
I'm just
universities.
kidding. I'm saying, like, I feel like China also. I feel Chinese people always have that little. In Mandarin, it's called 地图炮, but we basically always make fun of people from certain places, as long as they're not from your hometown. Like,
Yeah.
there's always some kind of a mild racism, or like, jokes. It's like, oh, you're from Alabama, you're married to your cousins and stuff, things like that. Like, for Yunnan or Tibet people, we say, oh, they got too much suntan or stuff. Mongolians too drunk. Yeah, northeastern people, they just too pretentiously funny. I don't know.
Yeah, Shanghai people are stingy. Every region has their own stereotype.
Yeah. But Jacob, you might have an interesting experience, like, because you belong to a minority group in China.
Probably one of the larger ones, so I don't feel that much discrimination. But from where I checked, like, before China was like this People's Republic of China, right? Like, this land, the people on this land, or after Qing Dynasty, I think, the original national flag was like a 5-colored stripe flag. I remember it was like red, yellow, blue, black, and white, or some other color, like 5 colors, and it represents the 5 major groups. Yeah, one of them is Hui, so like Muslim, and one of them is Tibetan, one of them is Mongolian, one of them is Manchurian, and one of them is Han.
Yeah.
And
so
after
that
the
other groups.
Yeah, and the other groups are actually all considered as the sub-genres of these 5 big clans. Like, Inner Mongolia, I think, according to the 56 nationality or races division, it has like 10 to 20 different races. But actually, it's all under the Mongolian clan. It's just different tribes. So they were trying to, I don't know, something sketchy there when this new regulation was made. But that's my conspiracy. But it was like 5 different races, major races at the beginning.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, because we call this the ethnicity group in Taiwan, the native Taiwan people. We call them 高山族, right? In our textbook. But in Taiwan, they have a different system for all these clans. So they would divide that group into like a lot more ethnicities.
Yeah, they're the Asian Kiwi people.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think coming to the topic of like both internal and international racism, I think this is something a lot of people maybe in Western countries might not understand, that Asian countries have something called internal racism, which is much more prevalent than so-called international racism. Like, if you see in the US or in European countries, most of the racism is purely based on the color of skin. which is like, okay, you are you're white and you're black, or you're brown, you're Arab, or you look Sikh, like the turban guys from India, or you're a Paki, or you're a Gypsy, Romani. So kind of like this limited to shades of colors of skin, whereas both in China as well as we'll not talk about much about India here, but there's a lot of subcultures. Now subcultures is not just that Han people are nicer to Han people. No, there are stereotyping in Han also, but
Northern Han, Southern Han, at least.
Yeah, but it's not as harsh as probably bigger racisms would be. There is no institutional difference. The rights of all the subcultures and all more or less is the same. There is no like Shanghai Hans have better rights than Hans from Henan. So they have like more or less. Of course, they have regional benefits. Being born in a bigger city gives you better advantage, and you have this, your license connected to your location where you're born. But I feel that even that is part of a systematic racism, because that limits you, that you'll always be a person born in that location.
Yeah, so talking about that, we're in Shanghai, and Shanghai has this not racism, but
system.
Yeah, like this ID card system, that if depends on where you're born, which district in Shanghai you're born, your ID number starts with different digits. So from the ID number you can tell like where you were born, and that decides the class you belong to somehow.
Oh yeah, the postcode envies.
Yes. So if you're like a postcode in US. Yeah, and also, so talking about skin color earlier, Babuji was talking about this. So skin color is also one standard to judge you, which class you're from. If you are, like in China, if your skin color is darker, and you have a higher chance to be a farmer, which people might look down upon you. And in Europe, if your skin is more tanned, means that you can afford holiday. So you are from a higher class, you're from a richer class.
Oh, that's very interesting.
So that might also be applied to this whole racism system. Yeah, because also like the fairer the skin is, the I guess the higher the race is.
Yeah, but I think this is a general term. No, I think both. I think all of us agree with this, that general racism has always put this fairer skinned people on the higher order, and I think it's fair to say that, because traditionally, as well as even in today's time, there is some kind of superiority complex from towards the white color. There is this perspective that people of a certain fair skin or fair color people are better than rest of the world.
Yeah.
And I've seen this even on the other side, like where a lot of Chinese people actually also believe that. This is a communication which I had with few Chinese friends of mine in the beginning. They actually believe that it's better to be whiter skin. Now, when I say whiter skin, doesn't mean that they have to be white. They don't have to be white people, but they want their skin to look fairer.
Yeah.
Look at how much like sun protection they wear every day, like the Chinese.
I know it's funny because it was a big revelation for me, the concept of sunbrella and
sunbrella
noise.
The concept of like this they kind of mask their hands, so that they don't get any tan. And I'm not talking about sun like like a California sun. I'm talking about like really mild sun with 20, 21, 22 degree.
Like London sun.
Especially in Shanghai, right? Yeah, exactly. So even that sun, they want to cover themselves and they don't want to get darker. And this is very common in Shanghai. And again, this is my personal experience where I've
No,
spoken to
it's a fact, sir. Don't worry. I back you up. It's a fact.
yeah,
It's not,
but I've
it's
also
not.
spoken to such girls and stuff like, and they're like, no, we don't want to get dark, because if we get dark, we'll not get married, or we won't find a good boyfriend, the
Mm,
boyfriend. And it's both sides, it's
mm,
that the biasness is there, not only from the female side, but there's
mhm,
also a huge biasness from the male side. The male would want to date girls with fairer skin, and stuff like that. And this is kind of, I feel this is a bigger issue than, of course, other racisms which we're going to talk about, like institutional racism against black people or brown people or white people.
Yeah.
But this is a much closer to heart issue for, I think, would be closer to heart to people like you guys, like being Chinese, I
Yeah,
guess.
I did grow up with this kind of mentality. Like
Mm,
my
Fight the sun.
mom always held this umbrella
mm,
in the summer, and because I was from the countryside, right? So she always kept telling me I'm dark, I'm dark. And I remember one time she asked me, "Are you the darkest kid in your class?" Like when I was like 9 years old.
So you should have said yes, and people call me Darth Vader.
Mm.
And I felt really bad. I don't know what is wrong in that, but it just like suddenly came to my attention that I was the darkest kid in the class, and I felt bad about it.
And for the general audience, because Jacob and you both have seen it, I don't think Dongo is dark, but
No.
from that perspective itself, it's surprising that Dongo is categorized as dark.
Yeah, now I'm
It's
very curious about your classmate. Like, are they transparent?
Oh,
Like what?
no. Yeah, so the kids, right? Our stereotype was the kids from the city, like Shanghai city. The more
Mm.
inner city you're from,
more
Uh-huh.
downtown area.
yeah, the fairer you are.
Uh, uh,
Yeah, so it's connected to that.
uh,
Interesting, huh?
Yeah, but just determining your class, or or prejudging you, especially when it's happening from your own parents and stuff like that, might be a very difficult thing to argue out of. Like, probably you start also thinking that, oh, maybe somebody with darker skin might be.
Yeah, especially when you were a kid, you didn't know what is right or wrong again, right?
No.
Yeah. So it's just put into your head.
I guess guys don't have that issue, right?
Oh yeah, of course, guys. This is a gender issue. We can talk about it next time. The guys are not required to be fair.
mm.
Do you agree with that, Jacob?
uh, Guys certainly have less pressure in China.
Yeah, right. I think they have to be richer.
Yeah, that's exactly what I
Yeah.
was saying. Yeah, as long as the guy's rich.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So talk about racism.
I
So,
think, I think purely from a racism perspective, I feel that since in last 10 or 11 years of my tenure here in China, I've always felt there are certain, like, crazy racism issues. Like, there are people with uh, issues with black people, which is so dramatic. As in, they have this fear against African people of African origin and people of African American origin or African European origin, uh, and also a crazy stereotype about white people.
Mhm.
And this
yeah.
is so prevalent, which I don't understand at all. And I understand that it's because of the lack of conversation and communication between these two groups of people. Because unlike the West, or unlike US and all, where there have been races mingling across generations. There have been black people in US for quite some time. There have been brown people living in US for quite some. There have been Hispanic people living in US for quite some time. Whereas China is still kind of new to the concept of different people with different color living in the country together. So there obviously is lack of information. There's lack of understanding.
Yeah.
But whatever understanding is there, for at least for the majority of the people I've interacted with, there's a lot of negative information they have, so they latch onto. It's like, when we are kids, when we try to learn a new language, first things we learn is to abuse.
Curse
Right?
words.
Yeah, the curse words. So I think that is exactly what has happened with when it comes to racism also. The first new things which people are learning are the wrong things. And I don't know. This is my personal. And at an institutional level, also, I feel there's a lot of racism. Like, for example, there have been cases. I'm sure Dongu can explain you better. There have been cases where CCTV has been racist. There have been cases where the local colleges or universities have been racist. There have been cases of government being a little bit racist towards a certain kind, but I would say nothing as bad as to the extent of what we see racism outside China. But I'm saying that if you don't inform the audience now, inform the people now, it will get worse, because that's how it starts. It starts with a taunt. It starts with, oh, you look different than me. It means that you are not good as me, and then eventually leads into a bigger issue.
Yeah, last time I was discussing this CCTV show with Babuji. Maybe Jacob, you can give your opinion about that. So CCTV Spring Festival Gala, back in 2018, they did a skit about they want to appreciate the friendship between China and Africa. So they did a skit on that, and then in that skit, the actress was a Chinese woman, but they just painted her black.
Oh, blackface. Okay.
Yeah, blackface, and then
Did not
put
know
this
that.
fake ass to look to make her more like the stereotype of a black woman.
Yeah, it's like the
So
60s America, blackfaced and all the
yeah, so that
experience.
was done by CCTV, the China Central Television, which
Yeah.
is the biggest and government-owned TV network in China. Yeah, anybody interested, you can go on YouTube and search this 2018 CCTV
Spring Festival Gala.
Yeah, Spring Festival Gala, and you can see that skit. So it was for Chinese. It was because there are people interviewing Chinese for their opinions on this skit. People were saying, "Oh, it's fine. It's just for fun. It's entertainment. It's nothing to do with racist. It's not racism." This is the reply from Chinese people. They genuinely don't think it's a big deal. But I think it triggered some controversy on YouTube, on the Western social media. They think it's a racist behavior, and especially when it's done by the CCTV, it's not acceptable at all. What do you say?
Oh, it's a long paragraph. First, I wanted to say, I guess like Chinese people are racist, no matter like despite the skin color. I feel like like Koreans looking down on Japanese and Chinese. Just say Japan, Korea, and China. They just racist against each other.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
in a big way, and most of the nationalist citizens are always calling each other names and shit, right? Koreans calls Chinese "jiangge" means like 炸酱面, like sauce dogs, right?
Eh?
Yeah,
Why?
that "jiangge" means like
Sounds
炸酱面
tasty.
jiang. Yeah, 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 and we call Japanese 鬼子, like Japanese ghosts, and we call all foreigners ghosts. Like we call white people ghosts, we call black people black ghosts, we call Japanese ghosts. Yeah, they're just ghosty. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
even today, like in Hong Kong, if you met someone, oh, he's a 鬼佬, right? Like he's a ghost, meaning like you're foreign. So despite that, I feel China did not get their introduction with uh, black people like for a long time because we didn't do slavery, pointing fingers subtly at white people, and Yeah, so we were not introduced to black people for a long time, and we did not know that culture. So maybe that is one step forward. Like China is reaching American 60s understanding towards black people. So in a way, it's
Yeah.
making progress, but it's at the ugly phase. So it's a stupid decision. I feel like it's just retarded. Why? Why would you choose to do that? But then we did not really make them slaves. We are the slaves. Like the slave owner got kicked to Taiwan, right? According to history, and we're the slave who stood up. So
Yeah.
we're just bunch of slaves making fun of each other. So it's
Yeah, this is interesting because when I was in US, right, there are like some stupid people, like Chinese friends. They were
Mm,
like, oh, they're Mexicans, like Latinos, black
mm,
people, all of them making like this stereotype comments on these different other races. But I
uh,
was like, are we also the minority, right? And we are also looked down upon.
mm.
Why are we like making this stupid statement against other races?
Yeah, Chinese people overseas always think they are like they're same as the white until they find
Yeah.
out. But it's hard for them to find out because they don't get the jokes. They thought they are like on the richer side of the society, like making fun of the black people, making fun of the Mexican people, which pisses me off. That's why I don't have a lot of Asian friends over there, because sometimes they just fell into that mentality, like, oh, I finally understand how like white people making fun of the other people, so I'm gonna tag along with the like, superior
Yeah. See, I think this is
power in their
exactly
mind, right? Yeah.
exactly my point. And when I was discussing with Dongo that I think if it happens with a general public, the
Mm,
CCTV event was like a general public event, a college event, or a smaller institutional event, or a local event done by some a community. I
mm,
would have still thought that it's ignorance and progress and all that stuff. I would have
mhm,
said, okay,
Mm.
it's ugly progress, but at least it's better than not knowing that there are other races in the world,
yeah.
Yeah.
right? But in 2018, CCTV does it. It's lame. It's just pure racism. There is no excuse for it because it's an international television station.
Yeah.
It has access to international teams.
Mhm,
And Spring Festival Gala is done by an international group of members. There are white
right.
people in it. I know there are white people. If a white person was there
But
in
they
it,
don't have power.
no, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If they don't
What
have power,
powerless
then
white?
they're stupid, right? Then they should quit their job and go back to their country again. Racist. Now I'm saying that if they're not able to voice their opinion in a simple way, where they're saying that blackface, and it's not so difficult to get an African woman to participate. There are very talented people I know of in Shanghai who'd be very happy to get that kind of opportunity to be in that show, and. And there have been, like, before 2018 there have been movies where Chinese people have spoken to, there have been interaction of African people and Chinese people, and it's always been a little bit positive, of course, not as positive as it should be, but it's still better than what they have done. They've not had black. So I feel that CCTV doing it not only is wrong, it is also certifying all the stupid people around China at a local community level who will continue doing it, because look, CCTV did it and it was not.
Mm,
So it's a
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
important thing. I think as
yeah.
an institution, it's very, very important that you are very careful what step you, because once you put that, Spring Festival Gala is not like a small show. It is watched by more than 700 million people,
Probably
more
one
than
of the
5.
largest.
It's the largest TV show in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. It is.
It's bigger than Eurovision for
Hmm.
people who don't understand how big is Spring Festival Gala.
Yeah.
It's bigger. It's bigger than what do you call that, Super Bowl. So
Mm,
having said that, if they at an institutional level don't
hmm.
understand that we are doing something is wrong or something wrong, and we being racist when we had a local actor having a blackface, then there
Mm,
is a fundamental problem. There is a fundamental problem in how we are handling race relationship, and China has always been forefront of China-African relationship. They want to be friendly to African
right.
countries.
And
Yeah,
yet they
they've
do.
been nicer. To be very
Mm,
honest, the way China has handled African relationship is far better than how British or French or Americans have handled. They've exploited them. British and French have exploited them for crazy amount of years. They've slaved them. They've handled them in a very brutal way. Where we came from the same boat, as in Chinese and Indians and African people, they've always been on the same boat. So it's very important that the right message is sent across. So if an institution does it, if CCTV does it, it's absolutely wrong. There is no excuse for, like, I would still understand if there could be an excuse for a general audience, like let's say Dongu's grandma says, oh, something racist. I would understand. She's 80-year-old. She has no experience of meeting anybody. It's still understandable. But a production team which is as large as 100,000 people, CCTV, it just employs more than a good 50, 60,000 people. None of them are conscious, and they've educated people. They're people who have studied outside, studied in various countries, coming back and working there. CCTV has networks in more than 100 countries. If they don't understand the intricacies of racism and they set out a wrong example, I think it's a very bad example set for the society. So that is why it should be condemned. It should be condemned hard, not only by international people, but also locally, so that if there was a genuine mistake made, that mistake doesn't get repeated, or at least there is a way to look at, oh, what they did was wrong, and the general public should understand it.
Yeah. The person who did that skit should be fired. They need better people, better leaders in CCTV.
No, not to that extent.
But that is I feel like that is the perfect showcase of the level of the understanding of racism in China. Like by the year of 2008 or 2018, people like that kind of shit still going on. Like that's the level of our progress.
2018. Like, that's exactly. If it happened in 2008, I would have still been okay with it. Because 2008 was the early year of China's opening. 2018 is like, no way you can do that. But 2008, you see so many American films released between 2008 to 2018.
And they still stereotype black people.
Yeah, that's a little. That's a little. But having said that, I don't want to defend China here, but I still feel that the racism which is faced by brown people or African community at large. I don't know about Japanese and Korean because I can't speak on their behalf. I can speak on behalf of mostly colored people, like the darker skin colored people, is far better than what you will face in a Western country.
Yeah, I heard black people in Shanghai saying that they would prefer the Chinese racism over the American racism, even though they don't like it, but it's still better because, like for example, when Babuji or I have a black friend that when we travel in China, we travel to this Beijing Tiananmen Square, and there will be tourists want to take picture with her.
Oh yeah.
Because she's black.
Yeah.
They don't take the tourists don't want to take picture with white people because they have seen white people, but they haven't seen so many black people. Especially the tourists are also from like smaller villages in China, so they've never seen a black person in their life. So they got very curious. They wanted to take picture with her, and that I would say it's harmless.
Yeah, only they don't touch you. I find it very annoying when people touch me when they want to take picture.
Yeah.
Kids and all, I'm still okay, but when adults touch me, I find it very annoying. I want to like.
Yeah, and they if a black person goes to a convenience store, a mini mart in Shanghai, people would not follow them or people would not get scared in China, not like in US. I guess this is very different.
Yeah.
And there's a guilt, no? I think white people have a massive mistake. They've done a lot of mistakes of killing out a lot of, they've done racism to that extent where they've kind of wiped out of entire civilizations. So they have this fear. So they fear, that's one of the very interesting conversation I was having with, it was in Shanghai only, very interesting conversation I was having with white friend and a couple of French people and a couple of Asian people. And then there was like me and then one black guy from France, and and we were discussing, and the conclusion of that discussion was very simple: that why do white people fear black people, or people of other color, brown people, and because they are scared that one day we'll wake up and beat them up for what they've done in the past.
Mm.
They're really like they're fucked. Okay, British has fucked brown people and African people.
Yeah.
Americans have fucked black people, Indians. When I say Indians, I mean the
Native
natives.
Americans. Yeah.
And they call them Indians.
Yes, anyway,
Lost
that's
in
the,
And we all agree with their mistake.
no,
Shout
we
out
agree
to
with the year
GPS.
also. Year of Jesus. Every year we count our years according to the death of Jesus, who fucking didn't even exist. Anyways, that's not the
Let's
point.
not start it.
So I'm saying, they've been mean to Asian community at large, whether it's Japanese or Chinese. They've treated them miserably when the original slavery ended, and even after World War II, Japanese people who were American citizens were put into jail.
Mm.
Forget about that. Forget about all of that cases.
Concentrate camps. Yeah.
Yeah, forget about all of that drama. 2020, right now, there were people who were beating up Asian people because they thought coronavirus comes from Asian people. So, the white people in general have a lot of mistakes they've committed in the past, and they seem to be the race which likes to commit mistakes across their lifetimes. Generation to generation, they've evolved to make more mistakes than anybody else. So I feel that they have innate fear of somebody rising up, and that's why if you see also when they go on overcompensation mode also sometimes, they'll try and do things too correct.
Yeah.
Right, because they're too scared, or they'll be too aggressive because they feel that we were the victims there and blah blah blah. So I feel that there is this general sense of fear is not there in Chinese people, because they feel that we haven't wronged anybody. We haven't been nice to our own people. So there is a little bit of an internal struggle for our own. China has never invaded any country historically. So, so they don't. And even during the tenure of Silk Road and, the ancient maritime, China has always been a little bit welcoming of foreigners. They've always tried, maybe not understood completely, but at least attempted to understand what works and what doesn't work for a certain race. Even like I know that I have faced racism, but historically India and China have a very good relationship. Like whether it comes to cultural exchange between China and India, when it comes to they've never conquered each other, or never conflicts have only happened in last 100 years thanks to British. They both know it. Of course, now we've become geopolitically and economically important to each other, so there are more conflicts. There's a different set of conflicts. But somewhere there has been this. I don't have that guilt. So there is a clean slate for Chinese people. There's a clean slate to decide that we don't want to start with racism. We don't want to differentiate people. So I think if that lesson is taught to the kids, especially to the younger generation, you can skip that 1960s to 2000. What Jacob you were talking about. US is in 1960s. We can skip that whole era because we don't need that. We don't need a civil war era.
Exactly.
We don't need a Martin Luther King to get killed by CIA to bring some change in American politics, because we don't need such stuff in China. What we need is a simple education where you're not misdirected. You're not directed to unless somebody consciously puts an effort to teach stupid stuff to you, China would be in the right path of handling risk. So again, I'm coming back to CCTV. That was a wrong attempt. It was a wrong mistake. You were directing your audience to a wrong path. You should not encourage.
By the way, I want to add another angle to this topic. It's about the white privilege in China. I think this is also something we should pay attention to, because like historically, white people have entered China as like in history invaded China as like a
Multiple.
master or like multiple times. And
Colony.
today, recent 20 years, 30 years, when white people enter China, people has this again stereotype that white people are richer from rich countries and they have money, they're richer. So somehow they people believe that they're good people. So I think that there is a privilege that white people can have in China. Like for example, if in English schools, right, and they recruit a lot of English-speaking teachers from like native speakers. But if when you have two candidates, one from a European country, a white person whose mother tongue is not English, but can speak English, and another a black person from America who probably even have a teaching certificate, but the school would recruit that white person because it fits into the stereotype of a English teacher and because the color is white.
Yeah, and the parents buys into that shit.
Yeah, parents prefer that. So I don't feel good about it. I think
Me
this
neither.
is something. Yeah, we should also
Condemn it.
condemn. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like similar case. Like I remember a few years ago, this piece of local news went on national news. Like this Japanese guy lost a bicycle in Nanjing or somewhere, and the
Yeah.
local police was like quickly retrieved the bicycle and returned it to him. And there was a photo, there was an interview. It was like it was on national news. It was a big thing. But like from where I grew up, like everyone loses like 2 to 3 bikes
I know.
during student times. Like nobody gives a shit. And I even have I even have a couple friends who are bicycle thieves. Like sometimes we even like buy our own bikes back from them. Like, oh hey, that's mine, and they're like, oh sorry, business. Yeah, stuff like that. Like nobody gives a shit, and that news went on like one became like popular, saying, oh see how we treat foreigners, Japanese, like all the same. I'm like, nah, man. Yeah.
Yeah, and so many times in Shanghai restaurants, right? There are a lot of Western restaurants in Shanghai, and they have white managers, and they do have different attitudes to Chinese customers and white customers.
I see.
It's so obvious. They give better seats, or they even like when they say there's no seat,
No reservation.
reservation in the restaurant, and they reject Chinese, but they just conveniently letting white people. It happens. It's quite often.
No, because they are like it's there is this thing about racist people. Wherever they go, they can accumulate together very fast.
Yeah.
So irrespective of what country they go,
they
end
have
up,
like a racist star.
Yeah, I think there is some kind of like this magnetic pull between two racist people, and they can just pull each other together, and they just all become a gummy ball and stick to each other and create trouble for everybody. But yeah, I think I agree with Dongu about this kind of, but this is something which I feel that people of color like us will always face. I think in our lifetime, I don't see white people having lesser opportunities than us. Or it is changing. Yes, it is changing in a lot of industries where people are recruiting people. They're trying to make it more open culture and trying to recruit people from all races and colors and stuff like that. But unfortunately, the truth is like 1/3 of my life, 1/4, almost 50% of my life has gone facing racism. As in, I have had trouble getting a certain kind of thing done because you're not part of that race, not part of that, or a certain opportunity is not there for me because I can't even think about those opportunities because that will require a white person, or it will require a person of non-color in that position. Visas have been rejected purely on the basis of what color of your skin is. I have got checked multiple times in various Western countries when other people can just pass through. even though I would have a lot more money than the people who actually pass through. Probably would have flew business class or even first class, but still, it doesn't matter. The color of skin cannot take out uh,
Mm,
privilege out. So I think there has always been this. So you start living with it. You start
mm,
thinking that, oh, it's pretty normal.
mm,
I think that is wrong. The fact
yeah.
that uh, educated, well-off people with good resources and good connection and good network in the societies think it's okay. uh, I think that's a big problem. If we are not voicing our opinions out and saying that what the fuck is wrong with this society, as in, uh, first of all, nobody should be treated on the basis of color of their skin. As in, it doesn't matter what color of skin, what language they come. We will live in a world where everything is appreciated. Everything is should be appreciated. The color of skin has a history to it, and this is a very important line. I always say this, that every color skin has a history to it, and we need to learn about it. And instead of trying to fear and then trying to make this, oh, you're different than me, or it becomes an us versus them kind of concept, it's better to sit down and talk to them. It's cool to meet new people. It's cool to
Yeah.
meet. So I feel that it's not just China has an opportunity. China has an opportunity to set a new set of rules for the world, because unfortunately US, Europe, Japan, even though they made a lot of money, they've set up a bad example for race relationship in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hope that if China becomes a world leader, which
Mhm,
it's number two right now, if they
mhm,
ever become a world leader, they set up a better example. We
yeah.
need, this is a very basic thing. I think this and of course gender equality, but that's a separate topic in itself. But racism, we need a country to set up a better, because once a country of power sets
Mhm,
a better example, everybody else will follow.
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's have
Agree.
hope.
Funny that
Yeah.
you mentioned number two. I will also speak some real number twos. Sorry. Uh, yeah. I felt like the previous like top tier countries, somewhat their development at early ages on the world made them feel superior, like this
Right.
subconsciously superior than you thought often leads to mistakes and other mistakes and
Yeah.
racism, right? But
Yeah.
China is rising fast, and we may learn all these mistakes from them, so we can skip the mistaking part, right?
Mm,
Yes.
But
Yes.
yet,
mm,
I do feel the country is producing, since also we're the country with the most population, it's producing like a lot of people who has the potential to become the next wave of those superior feeling people. That's
mm,
my fear. And I feel like if we try harder, we can skip that. And
mm,
that's the way, like, I think echoes with what you said earlier, that you say, like, in Western societies, sometimes you feel that racism is more serious because I feel like with their knowledge and education, they should behave better. But you can sense the hatred from
mm.
their uh, communications or like reactions or actions. And
Right.
but for Chinese people, they are less educated. Their fear is just because, oh, this is new to me. I don't know what to do.
Ignorance.
I'm
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
more curious.
yeah.
They even try not to be ignorance, but they don't know what to do. They're just less educated. So that's the
Yeah.
maybe that's how the like different people feels the racism in China, because we don't know what to do. Sometimes we're overreacting, like the cops who find the Japanese dude's bike, or like
Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes we just stare, right? Yeah,
yeah.
it's all that. So it's a big mix of different levels of people from like different education background. So it
And
Yeah.
has good potential, and also it may goes to the wrong direction, but we have to be careful. That's the
yeah.
current state.
Anyways, I think that almost wraps up our conversation for today. Very interesting conversation. Next time we will be back with a newer topic next Sunday. Nongu, what do you say? Next Sunday?
Yeah, next Sunday we
Yeah.
talk about something else.
Yeah, something else
Yeah.
related to
Something
China,
fun.
something fun.
Yeah.
And remember, people of the internet, colors are beautiful. Life would be black and white without colors. So I appreciate everybody. Thank you.
I like darker skin girls. I just wanna.
That's also racist.
I feel like it's really sexy. Asian handsome.
Okay. Bye,
Bye.
Jacob.
But by the way,
Thank you.
I feel like Chinese people, most of the Chinese people is not racist because we all look alike. We can't tell each other.
Good one. Good one. Good one.
Thank you. All right. Bye.